Hi there, I'm doing a review on this book called Stranger at the Pentagon. It is written by Dr. Frank E. Stranges. The first printing came out in 1967. This is Dr. Stranges. And there's a link below where you can get this from the digital, from where I got it from. Anyway, I've got all this information below. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding. Proverbs 4:7. So this book has several photographs of UFOs in it. The table of contents, which is also over here. Several really interesting pictures. I'm just moving down kind of fast, I'm sorry. This is some information about Dr. Stranges. He is the founder, president of the National Investigations Committee on UFOs. In addition, he is the president of International Evangelism Crusades, a worldwide Christian denomination, and International Theological Seminary of California. He was born in New York and educated in Brooklyn, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, and California. He holds degrees in theology, psychology, and criminology. And I don't know if this timeline is from the digital remake or from when the book was written. During the past 44 years, he has investigated various facets of the UFO phenomenon and has authored many books on the subject, which if you just Google his name, you'll find all sorts of stuff. His interest began while he was attending Bible college after hearing his roommate tell of an experience during the war. He was told that the squadron in which his roommate was flying was buzzed by several UFOs, and during the debriefing, the pilots were told they had seen nothing unusual. After confirming the story personal with the other members of the flight team, Dr. Stranges began serious inquiry into the fascinating subject of UFOs. Dr. Stranges is an assistant deputy director of the California State Marshals Association and a chaplain of the American Federation of Police. Numerous affiliations with law enforcement, scientific, religious, and public service organizations attest to his dedication to community service. His university and college presentations are recognized as an important contribution to the understanding of the truth about UFO phenomenon today. Now, I'm not going to go through this whole book because it's 127 pages of this, but I'm going to tell you that I read it in about a couple hours, so it's real easy to go through, and it was so fascinating that I had to read it all. Acknowledgements. So he is thanking August Roberts, one of the foremost photographers, and thanks to Robert Hoover. And then dedicated to Julie Corcoran. I probably should have left that alone without saying it. My one true love, this is for you. That's wonderful. I love that. And then this man, Dr. Harley Bird, does the foreword to this. So I'm going to bypass this. Oh, no. Let me just see this. Okay, so this goes into where this person, Harley Andrew Bird, where's this picture? Right here. I'm sorry, moving it fast here. Where he talks about the winter of 56-57, which winter goes from December to January, and then it's New Year. I think that's why he's saying it that way. But he's talking about when he was in Washington, D.C., and some of the things that he did. But then we go down here. In mid-March 1957, we received an urgent message from the Alexandria Police Department. The message indicated that 2 of their on-duty police officers had picked up an alien who had landed some 14 miles south of the Pentagon Boulevard, and the occupant was transported to the Pentagon to meet with the Undersecretary of Defense, and then shuttled underground to meet with President Eisenhower and Vice President Richard Nixon. The meeting lasted for nearly an hour, and then the alien visitor was put on VIP status and was shuttled back to the Pentagon, where he spent the night in the Army reception office on the first floor near the concourse. This alien's name was Valiant Thor. Now, I just want to show you something here. This man, Paul Hellyer, was the Canadian Minister of Defense. And he has a lot of conversation about how aliens are real. There's at least over 50 different races. And you can watch all of these if you want. But this one was his latest one, Liberation, the Economics of Hope. But he talks a little bit in there about Valiant Thor. And you might find that interesting, but I also find it interesting that because this is a big deal, government official talking about UFOs being real, and talking about the person that is the big major subject of the book Stranger at the Pentagon. So let's go back to that. The link for this channel, it's really weird because he does all these conversations that are very sensible and against what our governments want. And he was in the government in Canada, and his channel is very difficult to find, so I have the link below. Okay, so I'm just going to go on for a minute. Talks about who was there. Commander James was on duty at the Security Clearance and Review for the branch office of Project Blue Book. He oversaw the meeting through official channels and reported the landing and meeting of the space emissary, as he was labeled by the Department of Defense, to a governing group of high military officials, including the Secretary of Defense, D.F. Forrestal, and other scientific men, of which there were 12. They in turn made recommendations to the President and cabinet members, CIA, FBI, NSA, and so on. The landing of Valiant Thor was perhaps the first documented landing of a human-type alien by military officials. So I'm just going to move it down here a little. So Valiant, or they call him Vale a lot on here, also spoke with Nancy Warren, a minister and private investigator and theologian, and Dr. Frank Strange's. Val Thor came to discuss the world's problems and offer advice and counsel on how to deal with and eliminate them. He indicated to Mr. Eisenhower that the world was in a precarious situation, and if the world continued to proceed on a war footing, which Thor felt would be a self-destruct mode, it could cause an economic imbalance throughout the world. He stayed on Earth until March 16th, 1960, and then disembarked to his home planet Venus. Now, I heard some arguments about how nobody can actually live on Venus because we know scientifically that people would just die. But he says that his race of people lived and dwelled underground, and that many of the planets throughout the universe sustain life in that manner. I also want to mention that I've heard several people talk about there's life on Venus ever since I was young. So I think that maybe it isn't true that people couldn't live there. Just my thought. So that is his forward. And then we go to where Frank is talking. So I'm going to just pause this on and off and show you a few pictures. So I want to read this one part to you. He, talking about Valiant Thor, is on a special mission to this third planet from the sun and is presently working with many hundreds of his crew in conjunction with many on this planet. The following pages will reveal much, at least to those who are capable of discerning knowledge, wisdom, and above all, understanding. As you read through the pages, you will find yourself caught up in the story itself. Some of you will read with great delight and desire. Others will read with an eye to ridicule. However, as you read, you must certainly agree that during the past 60 years we have come a long way in related fields of science and technology. As you continue to read, please remember that any decision you choose is entirely up to you. Strive to maintain an open mind. The things we think we know, we do not know at all, while the things that we do not know are oftentimes revealed to us surrounded by pure golden light, thus enlarging our capability to believe. So I'm going to show you some pictures now. Oh, okay, so that was written in 1991, so that was an upgrade. Let's go to the pictures. So this is a picture of Valiant Thor. He's got his hair nice. He put on clothes from the being on Earth. This is also him right here. And some of the members of his crew. This is him with right here. And these two are from with his crew. And then there's another picture right here where this is 4 of them all together, and this is Valiant right here. This is a little bit closer picture of him and 2 members of his crew. In this, they talk about the clothes that he originally came with and how what it would look like and what it was made out of. Here's another picture of him holding papers. Here Frank talks about when he first met Valiant that he just said, "Hello Frank, how are you?" And that surprised him because he knew his name right away, and it felt to him like he looked straight through him with a warm smile, extending his hand and greeting him. So apparently Eisenhower wanted to let the world know about this, but the Secretary of Defense, the CIA head, and military chiefs were opposed to it. And then, even though he went to Venus, he talked to some of the people on his planet, and then he continues his mission on Earth from several different locations. Flying disc over South Africa. This picture is difficult to see. There's a UFO right there during the daytime, and just a picture of where there was a convention in West Germany. This is an interesting picture. Top-shaped UFO by Dan Fry in Oregon. I'm almost out of time, so I'm just going to do a real quick ending here. So apparently there's 287 locations of ships that are from Venus on the planet right now. And here it tells where they're at and the numbers of them. At the end of it, there is a final word from Valiant Thor, which is a few pages, but really short and easy to read. And he talks about God, and he talks about Jesus, And they also talk about the men in black and how they're dangerous. And let's go back up to here. And how it's important to protect yourself. So in the description box, I am including a protection ritual from Valiant Thor, a ritual you can perform. Please read these instructions carefully and take care with the candle that they suggest that you light by putting it on a dish or other object to catch any drips so you don't have a fire. And remember to check out Paul Hellyer's website because he is fascinating. He has passed now. He was 97, I think, when he wrote the last book, Liberation, and I ordered it, and it's a very good book. Okay, I'm grateful for you, and I'm here at your service.